afternoon, good morning, depending on what time zone you're in. My name is Scott Walsliger. I'm the engagement team manager at IMAGINiT. And today we're going to be talking about Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro, specifically around the Civil 3D world in Autodesk. This is also applicable to Revit. The workflow is a little bit different. This one's focused on Civil, but we can integrate data, whether it be Revit or Civil. So today's agenda, we're going to just talk about the overall platform of the Autodesk Construction Cloud, where Collaborate Pro fits in the Construction Cloud world. We're going to review Autodesk Docs, how you can use that for some viewing and markup capabilities and issue management, relatively easy. The Autodesk Desktop Connector and how that works, and the importance of the Autodesk Desktop Connector to how sheet sets work with Civil 3D. And then we're going to specifically go into a demonstration and show you how Collaboration Pro for Civil 3D can be utilized effectively across projects. Go to the next slide, Richard. So if you think about design collaboration, and I've been in the industry for almost 30 years, or a little bit over 30 years, I guess now. I've started back when we were just using CAD tools, and then design tools came in, and throughout time, data management solutions also became part of the world, and utilities like Autodesk Vault, TSA Advent, Falcon DMS, Lucello, name it, ProjectWise by Bentley. There's lots of different on-premise solutions out there in the world. But that adds a lot of limitations. One, you have a lot of expensive hardware, implementation costs were high, management of those utilities is somewhat cumbersome sometimes, and you also have lots of different locations and firewalls and different things to consider, file servers all over the place. And really the world has moved to the cloud and cloud storage spaces and less application management. And how do we make this easier? And that's really what the Autodesk Collaborate Pro environment is all about, is bringing everybody together into one cohesive data platform and environment so that everyone can see what's going on in a project. They don't necessarily need Civil 3D, they don't necessarily need AutoCAD, they just need to be able to review and see the data, maybe QC the print set, maybe QC the construction documents, whatever you want to call them. All that data can be stored within the cloud, and anybody can access it from anywhere. So from their iPad, from their iPhone, from their Android device, or from their computer. Next slide here, Richard. I think I'm turning it over to you here.
All right, thanks, Scott. That's a good layout of kind of like the history of how do we get to where we are, right? And as Scott said, everybody, we're moving to the cloud. And think about this if you start thinking about this. I know probably most of you have heard of the butterfly effect, but what about the digital butterfly effect, right? And what do I mean by that? It's obviously the concept is, a butterfly flapping wings can cause a typhoon on the other side of the world, right? The thing to think about this when you start looking at this is the idea that, one small change can influence a much larger and complex system. So, one of the things that I want to do throughout this, we start looking at the, this presentation on collaboration for Civil 3D, and you'll see how it's making one small changes to where you store your project data can have a massive ripple effect, right? So, increase productivity and the ability to collaborate and save time and, help reduce your tech stack and stress. All these things are, key things that as we get this more data and we're working together and collaborating through multiple offices, people working in a hybrid environment in the office and at home, working with other subs, all these things cause stress and loss of data and challenges, right? Because these are, complex engineering systems that we're working on in projects, and, how do we make all that work where we can collaborate together? And so, the concept here is, being able to, do that and being able to leading to larger changes than you would ever had imagined, right? Being able to save all these times and get rid of those pain points. So when you think about this, start thinking about, what are some of those pain points? I've worked with hundreds of different customers and, and clients over the years. And one of the biggest things recently that I've seen across the board I really break it down into 3 different categories of pain points. And these are kind of some of the ones that we've come across. And the first one being, when I look at this, would be a huge tech stack. So companies are ending up with so many pieces of software and different licensing models, and just, it's a huge job to just maintain all those things, right? And dealing with all those different things, and then getting those things to work together and communicate together. And that's always just a huge challenge. And that's one thing that, with the collection, it gives you the ability to at least work with a group of solutions and have, a license that covers a lot of these different things, and being able to kind of minimize that tech stack, and, being able to have a point of contact, a common data environment that allow you to, keep all that information and project data in a single location, being able to work from that no matter where you're located. And so, there's things within there that the collection allows you to kind of help reduce that tech stack, because a lot of people don't even realize that they have access to the cloud currently just through having the collection and docs. And we'll talk more about that as we go through this. And as I look in here, so that's, definitely one of the pain points there. And the second pain point, as I look into this, would be the collaboration, right? We're doing more collaborating than we ever had before on projects, and working in multiple locations. And the challenges that go along with that are huge. And, as we went through COVID, that kind of really brought that to bear, where we had this working environment that was everybody working from home and doing things like that, and the project had to keep moving forward. And that brought out a lot of the challenges that around VPN and slowing down and trying to do all these things working from home and doing all those locations. And that really brought Autodesk to expedite the process here and really take a hard look and take what they were doing and just ramp that up even faster because of the need that was there. And you need to be able to work with that data, whether it be internally, externally, have all access to that project data no matter when, and have unlimited amount of data to put up there and unlimited projects, and be able to look at information within those projects, create issues, and look at the whole life cycle of the project, where you can be looking at where maybe you're on the design side where we're focused today, but you could be looking on the construction side of things and moving that all the way back into there, even all the way down to a FM scenario with a tandem model, right? Where you can be coming in and using that for maintenance and things like that. So it's truly amazing how all this has gone and grown. And the last pain point that we have here is really around change management. It's the cost of change. And people are resistant to change. That's historic. We've always all been that way, right? And the challenge out there of finding talent is real, and keeping that talent is most important. And so, one of the things that help with that is, staying up on the latest things, and the cloud makes that really a good part of this, because you're able to get those flexible environments. A lot of the new talent out there coming out is, demanding to work in a hybrid environment now and things like that. So, and being able to track all that and being able to work in here. And so it really helps with all those things around there. And, that's where the, Autodesk Construction Cloud really comes into play. Autodesk has listened over the years and have created the Construction Cloud. And so, this has been around for a while now, the Autodesk Construction Cloud, I think at least 3 years, if not 4. And this is really the current platform that is being used. You hear Unified, ACC, all those things are really around the Autodesk Construction Cloud. There's the legacy, which is the BIM 360 cloud, and that's still out there and available. But this is the next generation, is the ACC, or the Construction Cloud. And they really took, when they made the acquisition of PlanGrid, and they kind of tweaked that and added in the additional capabilities there and benefits that came from that. And that's really where the ACC came from, and being able to go within there and do that. This is a great slide. I love this slide. It really helps people. I'm a visual person. And this really helps people understand kind of like the core of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And as you look in here, you can see that it has broke out all the way through here. If you look on the left, you have the collection and just some of the main titles within the collection that you have access to. And the key thing in here, and this is what I was talking about earlier, is you have Autodesk docs within there. And that's really the foundational piece, and you'll see that as we continue to move forward. And then you have where we're going to focus today. We'll talk about that over here on the Collaborate side. But you can see we have different modules, even down to Tandem for doing that digital twin model as you go through there. So one of the key things I want to talk about today, as Scott had mentioned in our agenda, is kind of look at docs itself, right? And the way I like to explain docs is the foundational piece. Yes, it comes with the collection, but it also is a piece that you can get on its own that can allow managers and reviewers and people on the project that are not authors really to come in and access the project data and contribute to that project, right? So it's really that foundational piece when you look at that. It's gives you your document control, version control, that pain points we were talking about right there. How many times over the years people coming up with their own versioning system that they have, and whose file's right and which one saves and wins, and it's always a problem with that on projects, and we're trying to make sure that you get those right files. This takes care of that all for you automatically, giving you document control, permissioning, so the right people have the access to the right data all the time, no matter where they are, which is key. You can have approval processes put into place if you wanted to. So, as you can have a work in progress, maybe it goes through a different submittal processes and phase for different documents. And so you can have that as well. And, one of the things that Scott had mentioned too is being able to you can get on the mobile app and be able to access this and pull that information right up on your phone or tablet right out in the field. So this is, truly a common data environment that gives you the ability to do those things and work through those processes and be able to do that. And the other thing I wanted to focus on today as we come through here is really BIM Collaborate Pro. So this is really the piece here, as you can see, that gives you the design collaboration, clash detection. So that allows you to look at your pipes and your different things that you may have in there in 3D models that you can run clash detection on, and utilities and things like that to make sure that what you're building is going to actually work and not have clashes. Design collaboration is really a neat tool. It is a way to make some swim lanes, if you will. So maybe they're with different companies that are working on the project. It could be broken up by different disciplines, but it is an optional way of using the software and using the cloud, where it's maybe not a highest trust environment. Maybe you want to control people's access when they see the data, and we'll talk more about that as we get into it. But the key thing is around this is around with the Pro is get you access from a Civil 3D perspective, get you the ability to use your data shortcuts and sheet set manager in the cloud. And those are two key things when you're looking at it from a Civil 3D perspective. And it also allows you to work with Plant 3D and Revit work sharing in the cloud if you're doing those things. So that's where it really allows you that true holistic collaboration from an AEC perspective in the cloud. So it works really well around that. You also have dashboards and reporting. All those things allow you to come in and build this. So we'll take a little bit more deeper look into the Collaborate Pro. As you can see, there are different modules here. When I look at the different areas there, so within that, I can use the clash detection. I can also see the different models here, where you can see within my utilities where I might have my sewer and my, my drainage network clashing going through there, and different pipes and my pressure pipes. So I can look at those different things. And you can see here when I'm looking at this, I'm also bringing in this case, the parking structure and all this. You're looking at the whole holistic part of the project and be able to look at all the information and make sure that everything that is going to be built is going to work. And you're able to do this just from docs, right? So this is the viewer by itself. You know, I'm not needing other things, but when I get in there, I can do clash detection, and that is part of Collaborate Pro here. Being able to do the clash detection part of that. And you look at that, you can also look here at the top, you can see them, we'll get in there and look at this. This is where you also can have in those different modules and packets, right? And we'll talk about this, and I'll show it a little bit when we're in there live. But it allows you to control when people get that access, and then people can control when they consume that part of the updates within the project. So that's really pretty neat, being able to do issue management and document management and tracking is key to the whole thing. One of the things I wanted to make people aware of, because there's so many acronyms and so many things out there, you know, ACC, ABC Pro, and so another acronym that you may hear from time to time out there is C4C3D. And so again, that's collaboration for Civil 3D. And so I just want to make sure when people are hearing things, you know, think about it, is that's really Collaboration Pro when you think about C4, C3D, because that's really what you need to be able to have that integration with Civil 3D and working the way that you want it to work. And one of the things that you'll see as we go through here that's awesome about this is that the way that Autodesk has developed this, I think it's really good from the user standpoint. It's really quick to get up and using from a Civil 3D standpoint, and you'll see that later. Your workflows don't change, and I'll show that as we go through there later, and you'll see that. So collaboration for Civil 3D, you know, we look at this must-haves for the civil engineering customers. So when we look at this, it needs to be fast, reliable, and connected to the cloud. So that is key. That's where we started with this, and that's one of the main things that you need to have. And there were some challenges going through there over the years, getting this to this. But you know, one of the key things that we did is there's a piece called Desktop Connector, and we'll talk more about that as we go through here. But version 16 came out, and within the version 16 of the connector, that's where we made some, you know, really good advancements on there. And within that Desktop Connector, that's the key that makes everything work. And we'll talk about that as we go through here more, and I'll show you more about it and how that works together. And with that version 16 of the Desktop Connector, that's where it allowed us to go ahead and get into the Sheet Set Manager for the web. So this is really a key thing that was able to be done and really is driving from a civil aspect now, users starting to use the cloud in Civil 3D. A large portion of clients use Sheet Set Manager. It is an awesome tool and a great tool, but it wasn't working in the cloud. So once they got that, they made that for the Sheet Set Manager for the web, which is the cloud version that allows you to now work up in the cloud with data shortcuts, everything, and it works extremely well. I've going through working with many clients on this, and they're extremely happy about that, about the speed that they're finding as well. And being able to store that whole project data in that common environment is key. And, you know, so that allows people to use with docs and being able to work up there. And also there's, I think, over 80 or 90 different file types supported in the cloud on the viewer itself. So that really aids to that, again, that stack of software where managers now and people that are reviewing can just go right to the cloud and the web and be able to access the models and go through them and review that information and do markups and do all those things without having to have extra licenses or different tools to be able to do that. And being able to do that from that single common environment is really a key thing. And, you know, so the Desktop Connector is that piece that I call it the secret sauce, the magic to it. And they've done a really good job on that. It was, you know, it struggles through the years getting there, but they've got it to a point where it's working really well. And that connector gives you the ability to run on your desktop. And it's really that bridge between the cloud and your local data. And we'll show how that works, and I'll show you some key things as we go through there and move that. So when I look at the connector, again, that's the ACC and the construction cloud and the desktop connector. And, it's been modernized in 16 so that, install that now. It's able to, you're able to host projects, so you can pick number of projects that you want to host and see. So it controls that. And also APIs are involved in that now, so you can have access through there. And the faster open speeds. The speeds are amazing. Clients I work with are just blown away about how fast that is working now. And the other thing, it's got a familiar interface. So I'll go in and show you this. And as you look right here, you can right click and do things. When I'm working in Civil 3D, I work directly on my local drive as what you're seeing here and open up right from there, because I'm keeping my files synced up and doing that. So I have access right there. It does the check in, check out, and there's really no learning curve to this. And you'll see that it works the way you're used to working. So, you can be a few hours of training and be up and running in this. So it works really well in that way. And again, no disruption to your current workflows. And I think that's key to driving success here. And being able to have that file management, right? That automatic locking. You don't have to worry about people stepping on each other or unlocking a file. That automatic locking is native to it, and it's regardless of application. Take a drink. And get read-only notifications, built-in conflict resolution. So, if there's some syncing issues or maybe you lock up and things like that. So there's conflict resolution that you can be done as well. And again, if I take a look at the sheet set manager for the web, this is the project I'm going to work on today. It's kind of really, this is where it comes into play. So you really need to be on from a Civil 3D perspective, and this is really important and key. Civil 3D 2023.1 or later. And, I would even far say it's even better in 2024. So, but you need to be on that 2023.1 or later to have that sheet set manager access, which is the sheet set manager for the web. So that would be key. If you're using sheet set manager, you need to be on that version or later when working in the construction cloud. Also, what's cool about that gives you access from the sheet set manager, even from AutoCAD on the web. So I pulled this up on the web, and you can see I got the access directly from the web itself. So if you're out in the field, you can even access that out in the field if you needed to. So if you needed to go in there and access it, maybe print something off to PDF or something like that, you have that ability no matter where you are, even if you're using AutoCAD Web. And one of the things I wanted to look at here too, I talked about the viewer. The viewer supports over 85 different formats now. And this is really cool to be able to do that, because that allows, again, you to reduce that tech stack, being able to view all this information right from the web itself. And there's a list of all the different file formats that are supported and available here. So that's kind of a high-level overview of, the Docs and Collaboration Pro. So what I'm thinking now is let's go take a look at that. So I'm going to start off here, and I'm going to start off with pulling up my local drive on my machine here. And you'll notice that I have Autodesk Docs, okay? And that's really coming from that desktop connector I talked about. And within that desktop connector, I can see I have our IMAGINiT hub. So you can create that, and I've been invited into it, and then there's administrators in here. Now I've been invited to some of my colleagues' projects that they have up here as well, and you'll notice that. And you'll notice when I come in here, I'll go to Brian's project, for example, here. Oh, let me stretch this out. There it is. So you notice that I have a cloud icon on the status here. What does that mean? Well, what that's meaning is that I have access to that data, but it's not locally on my machine here. It's up in the cloud. So if I go to open up this file here, and I go into here and I wanted to open up a file, whatever this may be, this project template or this campsite, and I wanted to go open up this file, it's going to take me a little longer to open up that file, depending on what my speed of my internet connection is. So that's, once it's open though, then I'm here locally and I'm opening it up, and it's going to keep that file here locally for 2 weeks by default. And if I don't touch it in 2 weeks, then it kind of releases it back to this format where it's just in the cloud. So that kind of that's a neat thing about this too, is it kind of helps automate that control of your data on your local machine here. That gives you that kind of magic, the best of both worlds here. But on this particular project here, my Ridgegate project, you can see I did something here that I said, check this, always keep on this device. I think this is one of the key things to getting you that speed. So this particular project, you'll see it looks different, right? See how I'm having green checks on this now. All these are green checks because that connector's keeping that relationship one-to-one and matching that up. So if somebody changes in a different file, it's going to go, oh, that changed, I need to sync that up. So what I'm doing is when I come in here to look at and I go work in these files here, I'm going to go open up this file here, like I have this master file here that's, it's almost 220 meg, right? So that's a decent size file, and you'll see that when we come in here and start looking at those things. I'll pull those up directly and you'll see how that works. But you really, from a Civil 3D's perspective, I work right from here. I tell clients all the time, think about this as being like a network drive. So it's kind of working the same way that you're used to working. And once you kind of tell them to think about it as a network drive, it becomes really easy and clear. If I jump over here, I come over here, I'm in my project here, and I just went up to that Ridgegate project. And again, you can have any of the folder structure that you want within this project. Obviously, there's the Microsoft limitation on the, 256 characters, but that's really the only limitation you have within here. You can set permissions on this, so if you come in here, your different files, your different projects, you're able to create and have permission settings within here. So you can see I have different people involved in the project. You can set those different settings by permission levels, by different users, by their different roles and things like that. So there's different ways, and set it by companies, different things like that to set all those permissions within there to control that access. So you need to be invited to the project to get into there. So if I come over here and look at this, go into design. So one of the things I want to come down here is you can see all the different versions. So if I go to that master file that we were looking at just a little bit ago, if I can find it, oh, there it is. You can see that's a file I work on a lot and done things. So I have 36 versions of this file. And again, that versioning happens automatically. You can see here I added some more in here. And with those versions, you can see that it's date stamping and time stamping that for you. I have some ones from earlier. So I originally did this file, created it version 1 back in 2022 of August, right? So it's date stamp. I can go all the way back to that first version if I wanted to. That's really neat, being able to do that. If I come down to my Terry version here, I have 3 versions in this Terry, and I like using this project. So I come up here, and this is one where I came in and I just created that, for example, for a client, and I was going through here. But what I can come down here is compare my versions, right? So I can go down here, and this is really neat. And again, this is all doc stuff that we're doing right now. So if I come in here and look, I can go compare these versions, and you can see right there, oops, I moved it, so I did that. Let me go back one. Let me compare the versions again. I'd moved it, that's the reason I did that before. So let's compare versions. And there we go, compare. And 2D views. And so there we go. So as we come in here, you can see the common data here. As you look, is grayed out. And what was new in version 3 is added in here. So I showed what I showed in this particular case is I brought in and created a new file and created a data reference and brought some of this information in. Just really showed how that worked. One of the key things that's nice here is you're being a reviewer and you're reviewing all this from docs is I can come over here and use this slider. So I can still come in here and review. I can see on the left side is version 3 and on the right side is version 2, and you can see what's changed from that slider. So you have access to all that information. And again, you have access to the markup tools here, as you were seeing here where I did the markup. So you can come in and do markups. What's nice about the markups within here is they're not an extra file. They're not that. It's almost like metadata within on the file. And I can make my own personal ones that are people don't have access to unless I publish it. And so I can keep notes in here that I'm trying to keep track of. Maybe I want to come back to or do something. Or maybe I do want to publish it and assign somebody to remove these contours, right? And I can assign that to a person and things like that. So that's some of the neat things in here you can measure as well. So all those things are available within here. One thing, if I jump over here and look, here's that file that I was telling you about, that master file. You can also come in here and look at the sheet views within here. So if I wanted to come down here and look at one of the sheets, and again, this is where I grabbed that one that you saw on the slide. So I grab that sheet right here. So you can come over here and grab the sheets in here very quickly. And again, this is just from docs in the viewer. You know, if I wanted to go down and look at my bridge, I think it's on sheet 16. Or is it 18? It must be 18. But I can navigate around there real quickly and be able to look at that information. So I can see my bridge here and where it's going in. And again, I can do markups from here from a design side of things and, you know, say correct this or move this or adjust that, right? So, and then I can assign it to somebody to see if that gets done. So that's really neat how that works and being able to do those things. One thing I wanted to look at here as well, I'll jump back over here. If I go to my structures, you know, I do have some Revit stuff in here because of bridges from a civil perspective looking at this. So I'm going to pull up a bridge model I have for one of the bridges in this project. I think there's 3 bridges. So one of the neat things that you're able to do within here, and again, this is from the docs itself, I can come in here and look at this bridge, right? And so from the Revit file, we brought in the existing terrain and we brought in our Civil 3D data as part of that bridge workflow. Because when you design bridges from an Autodesk perspective, it's a workflow. You know, it uses Revit, it uses Civil 3D and, you know, other tools within the collection. So, and for works and a lot of different pieces within building this. So when you do that, I can come in here and I can come over here and look at, again, I can go look at my different sheets that came from this, right? So if I look at the 2D, I can see that I have different sheets that came from this. Kind of shows where those sheets were pulled from as I move around there. So if I come down here and look at this one here, it's a detail of the pier, right? I can come over here and turn this on, and then you can actually see right in here where that detail came from. And that's what created that detail from that sheet, because within Revit, that the sheets are being created right from that model, right? So you're able to see that. So that's really neat, and I'm doing all this right from the viewer. So I think that's really cool to be able to do those type of things, you know, just right from the viewer itself. The other thing, I can come over here, you can show properties from there as well. So you can get information that's being put on that as well, right from the viewer. So that's, you know, that's very powerful how that works, being able to do those things. What are some of the other things? Those are some of the main things that come through there. There's transmittals, right? So I can send out transmittals, and you can modify those to work together on those. Again, you can create issues, members. I can bridge between different projects and things like that if I need to bring data in and do those type of things. But the cool thing about this is it just works up in the cloud just like you're used to working. So you can see right here, I don't have my master file open. I'm in the wrong folder. There we go. So I come back to my master file here. You can see it's there. One of the things I want to talk about too were those swim lanes a little bit. So, you know, if I come over here, I can go to, this is all docs I've been in, but when you start looking at the collaboration for Civil 3D, one of the things you get with BIM Collaborate Pro is you get the ability to work. So when I was showing everything, I had pretty much everything in a high trust environments. the way Autodesk likes to look at that. So that's working like you would on a network drive. You can control people's access based on their what rights they have to see things and do things. But it's a high trust environment where everybody's getting access to those files. What you do when you're collaborating on a project, you can come in here and you could have different disciplines or different companies, however you wanted to look at. Maybe a company was doing the bridge, right? A different company doing the bridge, or a different company doing the survey. And they might not want you to have access to that information, even read only all the time. They want to control when they send that to you, almost like a submittal type scenario. So this is a great way. You can still have that common data environment, but then you can create a package of the information you want to submit, and then that comes in here and you're able to send that package out to the other groups here, or swim lanes, right? And then they'll get notification that updates are available, and that gives them the ability to control and look at that data before they bring it over and consume it. So it's a really good process to work through, but you don't have to use that process, right? You can go back and have everybody just have read-only access or viewable access or read-write access at a high trust level environment where you get to see that whole process go through. But if you want to control people when they want to see it, you have that ability as well, which is really neat. And then again, you got the model coordination, and that's where you can do that clash detection up in the cloud and being able to look at those models and go through that and build that process up there. And again, so you can come through there and look at the different clash detections that you may have within there and go through there and view that information. So I'm going to go back to my files here because I want to show you the locking within here. So I'm going to come open up that file I was showing you, that master file. That's probably one of the largest files I have in here. Like I said, that's almost 220 megs. So that's a pretty good size file here. I'm going to jump over to Civil 3D. And one of the things I have here, kind of go through and talk about docs as we jump over here. You can see that I have my recent files, right? So you'll see they'll have a cloud biome when you look at those files that are recent. So it's going to have that cloud by it, or it's going to have a computer by it. So I just got my new computer 2 days ago, so I'm still working on things. But I can come over here and I can just grab this and I can pick it right from there and then open it up fine. I can also come over here and navigate to a project that's up in the cloud. So this is really navigating up into the cloud and looking at projects that are up here, right? The other way that I tell people to use, that I use all the time, is I just go open up like you normally would, right? And here you can see I can go navigate. I put it on a quick one here, and I can come in here and look at this, and I can go right here and pick my master file. And again, that's going where I showed you earlier from my Autodesk docs here, right, to our hub, to my project. And again, remember I had that project synced up like I told you. And so that's key to this speed here. And again, this is a large file, right? You saw it's almost 220 meg. And I'm going to hit open here. And as I hit open here, you'll notice that this file is opening up. And like I said, it's almost 220 meg. What was it, 218? And as it's opening up, it's going to take about 6-7 seconds to open up here. But think about this. I'm working from the cloud. And you could do the same thing. If I invited you to this project and gave you access, you could come in here and be able to open this file up just as fast as I have here. And again, that's really quick. And this is what's key to working in that hybrid environment I talked about earlier, or whether it be people working from home and in the office and mixing that up, or collaborating with people outside that are, collaborating on a project where you have multiple firms collaborating. This is key to making all this work. And I just opened up a large file in that many seconds, right? And that's cool, and that gives you the ability to hear. The other thing you can see here that's key with the Pro is you have the data shortcuts. You'll see a blue icon right here. That's the change. Working with data shortcuts in the cloud, you see a blue icon there. It works exactly the same way as you would expect it to. You can see all my data is there that I've saved out as a data shortcut. It works exactly how you do it today. There's no change other than it's living in the cloud. You can see also the other one, as I have a cloud right here by my drawing. That's showing that that drawing's in the cloud, and it's also showing it's locked by me. And if I jump over here real quick so you can see that, if I go there, you can see that the lock shows it's who's it's out to and who's it's locked to and when they did it. So you get that feedback instantly. And that is really cool to be able to get that. The other thing I wanted to show you here real quick is just creating a new file. So in this case, I want to go grab a file. I'm going to go to my project because I have a DWT I've saved with my project here. So I'm just going to go into my project and I'm going to open up my DWT for this project. Yeah, so this is where this project is. It's outside Denver. I brought it up. I had the image turned on. I had my data shortcuts turned on. So real quickly here, let's just grab that existing surface, create a reference. And again, same way you're used to using it, right? Hopefully everybody's seeing that there's not a change here, and look at the speed. I come up here again. I'm going to let's grab the alignments here. So let's go the main alignments here, each direction, westbound and eastbound. Pull them up real quick, and you can see I'm building this stuff in here on the fly really fast. This is how you're going to work. Hey, let's save that file back off. I'm going to hit save as, and you know me, I'm going to be really creative. I'm going to save this as Scott. So now I've gone through, created a new drawing. We looked at the master file here that has all that sheets and everything in it. And as you go through there, that's all there and coming through just as you would expect, right? So I can go back to my model. The other thing that I can do over here, if I go to my recent, I'm just going to fire it up because I have it in my recent, so it's easy. I don't even have to go dig for it. So let's pull up that sheets that I made for my ridge gate. And it should be opening. There it is. So that pulled up and opened up from the web. And again, this allows you to, I pulled it up and started creating it, but then those are the sheets right there from that. And as I look at those sheets, you can see those pulled right from that master sheet in there. So again, the difference is it knows it's up in the web. And so when it goes up there in that DST file, it automatically picks up for the web. It's nothing you have to do as a user. If I jump back over here and I go look at that, you'll see here, where did I put it? You can see right there, it's automatically locking that for me. And so I don't have to worry about that at all. If I'm in there, it's going to lock up that sheet set. I can go make my changes. I don't have to worry about somebody messing that up. I can go add documents. I can go to other documents, just like you would expect to be able to do from Sheet Set Manager. And again, I save that one sheet off here as Scott, but I can go to those different sheets. I can open it up, create a new sheet, add more information in here that you have for it. So it works exactly how you're going to expect it to work, but it's going to work from the cloud. If I come back over here and jump in here, let me refresh this. And scroll down here. And you can see I got Scott's files being created. It's being pushed up to there right now. Like I said, I got all this stuff going at one time. But it's going to hold that lock on that file. I've got it up there and it's pushing it up there, and you can see it's got version 1 created. And go ahead and close that out because it's doing this work for it in the background, and I can go continue working because that file's saved. And that's really how it works. I mean, there's not anything really challenging to working within here, but it just gives you the ability to work in the cloud without having to take the time to really a long learning curve. It just gives you the ability to work there and work faster than you're currently working is really a key thing. And being able to work in a common data environment no matter where you are, whether you're in the field, whether you're at home, or whether you're working between different subs, working with you on the project, you all have access to that common data environment no matter where you are. So I'm going to go ahead and turn back over to here. And thank you. And we'll go ahead and we can turn that over for questions.
And with that, have a great day, everyone.